Well, hello everybody. Today we're going to be doing a flight from Missoula International to Butte Mooney, but basically we're going to Butte, Montana. And this is basically a shout out to Trent the Traveler and Ryan Twomey, two van lifers who just met up for the very first time. So it's a kind of shout out to them while I'm doing this. So just a quick flight in the 737 MAX. Flight plan has already been provided for us. I just did some tweaking, changed it to 20,000 feet since it's going to be a short flight. And I changed it to an ILS. As you can see here, ILS 15 ever. We start here. This will give us plenty of time to get down and slow down the aircraft. Now we go to arrival airport information, runways. Runway 15 doesn't look great. 6 knot tailwind, you always want a headwind, not a tailwind when landing. 7 knot crosswind, that's not too bad. That was not too extreme, so we'll go ahead and take it, especially since there are no other ILSs available for any other runway. Only runway 15, so that's what we're going to have to take. Now what you want to do is airport arrival information, charts, runway 15, ILS runway 15. If it doesn't show up, you just click FAA, and there it is. And we'll have to keep in mind the ILS frequency, 110.9, and that we need to be at 8,600 feet to intercept the glide slope for the ILS. Two things we have to keep in mind there. Oh, I've also enabled the stopwatch in Navlog, and you always want to make sure it's a VFR flight and flight details. Let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, here we are with our 737. Okay, first thing, how to turn on the aircraft. Ship 7, click the battery to on. Then you want to come down to the APU master, click this to on. Then to start, hold it for a second, let go. Now to know when it's run up, but not fully run up, you'll see the APU gen off bus light come on. But that's going to take a very long while. So while we're waiting for that to happen, we'll go ahead and set up the FMC using the flight plan that they gave us and that we tweaked. So everything's set up. I'm going to go ahead and send to ATC and avionics. Now it's already been sent to the flight computer. But before we click execute, you want to click the legs page and you want to take out any discontinuities. And to do that, we just click the waypoint after the discontinuity, click it, and then click over the discontinuity. Then you want to look over your flight plan. Make sure there's no other discontinuities, which there isn't. So that's good. But before we click execute, what I like to do is go to init ref, then index, then performance page. Zero fuel weight, you can find that here by going to payload and fuel. Zero fuel weight 131.7. So that's what we're going to type in, 131.7. Then click zero fuel weight. Reserves, I'm going to put 0 pounds, enter that into reserves. Cost index, that's just a number anywhere between 1 and 100 to determine the airplane's fuel efficiency, and overall cost index basically reduces wear and tear on the aircraft. So we're going to put in 30, that's what most airlines use. And I'm going to click that here under cost index. Now I'm going to go to N1 limit. I'm going to use TO2, that's what I always use. D rate for 20%. And I'm going to put in 30 again. I'm going to click here and we'll have 90% engines instead of 100% to save wear and tear on the aircraft. Now that's all set up. Now we're going to go to takeoff. Now for flaps, we're going to put in flaps 5, type 5. Click here. Now we have our V-speeds. Now I'm going to go ahead and click execute. And I'm going to click here to bring up my V-speeds. So 152 for V2. We need to keep that in mind because now we're going to set up the autopilot. But before we do that, let's make sure the APUs run up. And it is. The APU light is on. So what you want to do now is to put APU generators 1 and 2 on. Then come over here, APU bleed air, turn that on. Then you should hear the APU run up. And indeed, the APU is running up. The only other thing I want to do, just one more thing, before the main startup sequence, is to turn on the fuel pumps. That's just so we can turn on the aircraft. That's all we're going to do. Then we'll go from left to right, but we'll do that after. First thing I want to do is go ahead and set up my altitude. We're going to go ahead and set up autopilot, put altitude to 20,000 feet, altitude 20,000 feet, and Mach, we're going to put this to 162. Now our V2 was 152. As a rule, you want to add 10 knots to your V2 speed. You can see down here. So we have 162. Now you're going to enable both flight directors on both sides. Click them to on. Turn the auto throttle on. Then click LNAV and VNAV. And then as an extra step, I like to click heading mode, select. So that's armed. Now we have the autopilot set up, FMC set up. Oh, one more thing we have to do to come back here, come down here. Our ILS frequency was again 110.9. Go to route, arrival airport information, charts, runway 15, ILS runway 15, 110.9. We'll type that into both sides here, 110.9. Then click the swap active and standby frequencies. Make sure 110.9 is at the top. Do that for both sides. Now they're both set to 110.9. I'll take these out of the way. I like to turn up the brightness. Okay, now we're going to request pushback, and while we're being pushed back, we'll turn on the engines. We're going to go request pushback to the left. Take out the brake. We've released the parking brake so we can be pushed back. We're starting to be pushed back. So while we're being pushed back, we're going to go ahead and start up engines. We're going to come down to engine start. Switch this to right engine first. Switch this to ground. You're going to see it running up here. Wait till the N2 reaches about 10. Then introduce fuel. I'm not sure if it is actually 10, but that's what I do. I'm going to come down here to engine starter. Switch that to idle. And you just want to wait for the engine to run up. Sometimes it'll take a while. I usually like to speed up the sim to make it go faster. The first engine has been fully run up. We'll come up to shift 7 again. Turn the engine starter to left engine. Switch this to ground. And watch the second one run up here. Wait for the N2 to get around 10. And introduce fuel. And just wait for the second engine to fully run up. Okay, now both engines are fully run up. Now what you want to do is shift 7 again. Switch the engine start to both. Let's go ahead and turn up the brightness here. It's here in the middle. Again, engine starter to both. Turn off the APU master. Turn off APU generators 1 and 2, even though they should already be off by default. Then turn off the APU bleed air. Now we're going to start from left to right, from left going right. We've already turned on fuel pumps. Come up here, turn on the yaw damper. Then up here, we're going to switch the IRS mode selectors to navigation for both sides. Or we come down here, switch passenger and cabin utility supply to on. Then you want to turn on generators 1 and 2, those are the engine generators. In your next column, we're going to put seatbelt sign to auto and smoking sign to auto, emergency exit lights to armed. Now we'll come back all the way over here, turn on window heat. That's just window heat test. Make sure all these are on. We're going to come down, don't worry about engine anti-ice for right now. Just turn on all hydraulic pumps. Make sure they're all on, these two are already on. Then the next column, you want to turn engine bleed air 1 and 2 on. You hear that run up. And put packs to auto. Circulation fans left and right are already on auto. If they weren't, you click auto. And that's it. That's how you turn on the aircraft. Now I'm going to go ahead and set up takeoff lights, landing lights. You want to make sure your aircraft is seen. Taxi light to auto, and position lights to strobe and steady. Anti-collision and wing lights armed. You could also put in wheel well lights if you want to, but it's usually just for nighttime. Okay, that's all been set up and we're ready to go now. We have our ILS frequencies set. I'm going to put in flaps 5 as my last thing to do for takeoff flaps. Okay, I'm going to taxi to the runway and we'll just see you on the runway. But actually before I do that, now we can see our GPS line. And what I'd like to do is, using my heading selector bug, I like to line up my heading bug, little purple dotted line, with the GPS line so they're lined up, so it's going both in the general direction, and we can just tweak that in the air while we're in the air. Okay, everything's set, ready to go. We'll see you on the runway. Okay, here we are on the runway. Takeoff power is set. That just means full throttle. Full power is set, full engine power. Both engines look good. Everything's good in the green. Airspeed's alive. V1, rotate. Positive rate, gear up. See these little green numbers on the left side next to the speed indicator? It means take out flaps as you pass those. Once we reach the next one, we put flaps all the way up on the left side next to the speedometer. Sometimes it takes a while, so I'm going to go ahead and just take out flaps all the way. That'll help me increase speed. I'm going to activate autopilot. It's going to go ahead and follow the heading bug just until we intercept the GPS. then it'll automatically switch over from heading bug to GPS mode. You can see here mode, heading select mode is active. You can see we already switched over from heading mode to navigation mode since we were close enough to the GPS line. You can probably see that better here. We were still pretty close to the GPS line. So we'll go ahead and follow the GPS line to the airport. If you didn't, all you'd have to do is tweak the heading selector mode to intercept the GPS line. So one thing I wanted to show you here, we can take our heading selector mode, the dotted purple line, and we can set that here, intercept the GPS line. Then we can set heading bug, and when you get close enough to the GPS line, it'll automatically switch over to LNAV. But we're already in LNAV, as stated here, but that's what you'd have to do. Okay, we'll see you at flight altitude. Since we're above 10,000 feet, I'm going to go ahead and activate engine ice protection. Now the autopilot is doing everything, following the flight plan, including auto throttle. I'm not doing anything, I'm just kicking back. Okay, we're coming up to flight altitude, as you can see here. We're going to go ahead and go to our route, go to our flight plan, go down to arrival airport information, charts, runway 15, ILS runway 15. And again, 8600 is where we have to be to capture the ILS, or the glide slope for the ILS. So that's what we're going to type in now, since we're at flight altitude. Set this to 8600, and that is set, and that's all you have to do. Now what we can do to double check it, we can come over here to our range selector, zoom out, and indeed we do have a top of descent. So when we get there, we should start coming down. Now we're getting ready to come up on our top of descent very quickly. What I'm going to do here is click speed intervention. You'll see it here, and I'm going to bring the speed back to below 250 knots. Again, it's a very short flight. We have to get down in speed. Starting to drop down in speed. You want to do that before you reach top of descent, because when you start coming down, you're going to gain speed, of course. So we'll see how that goes. And to help that along, go to speed brakes. We're going to put these to armed, and we're going to put the auto brake, set the auto brake to 2 or 3 for landing. You see we're not losing speed, not really losing much speed. So to help it lose speed, you can set the speed brake to a maximum of 40 is what I like to do. 30 or 40. That'll just help slow down the aircraft. You want to slow down your speed quickly. You can see right here we don't have long to go before we reach the ILS transition. Again, around 30 to 40%. Much higher than that, plane starts shaking. It's not great. We're coming down in speed here. We're below 250 knots, so that's real good. That's a really good thing. One thing I forgot to tell you is you want to right click the barometric pressure, then left click it to make sure it's in standard once you reach a certain altitude. But since we're coming down, we're going to right click it again and make sure toggle standard mode is off, which it is, to make sure you're at the correct altitude. Starting to pick up speed again. I'm going to set this to 40. We're getting ready to come up on our first turn. We need to get this speed back again, putting up to 50 now. Let's hope we're not going too fast for the turn. We go back to our legs page. We need to be at 10,800. Let's see where we're at. We're at 13,000 right now, but that'll be our next waypoint, I believe, because we're at 13,000 right now. I'm going to set this back as far as I can go, around 220. Set this back to 40. Pull this back all the way to 200. Okay, now we're below 250 knots. Put in 1 notch flaps. That should help slow down the aircraft a little bit. You see we overshot because we were going too fast. That's okay. We're not really at 10,000 feet yet, so we're not coming down fast enough. You go ahead and put in 2 notch flaps now, then 5 notch flaps. Pull this all the way back to 160. Try to slow us down. You go ahead and put in 10 notch flaps now. We're coming up on our final, so I'm going to click approach mode here. You'll see that the VOR localizer and glide slope are on standby, and the glide slope is right here. So we should intercept it in time, hopefully. The speed keeps changing on me, so I'm going to bring it back to 170. I'm going to go ahead and put the landing gear down. That should help slow down the aircraft. We've captured the glide slope, you see here, and the localizer. So we're good to go there. We just have to line up here and here. You always want to keep ahead of these things. Now I'm going to put speed brakes back to armed. We're at 170 now, so I'm going to go to flaps 30. Landing gear down, you need to be below 270 knots. Flaps 25, below 190, below 175. You can see that all here. There's a runway out there. We're still on the glide slope, so we're looking good. Spoilers are still armed. We do have a lot of turbulence though. Again, speed brakes are armed. Auto brake is set to 3. I'm going to go ahead and set it to 2 instead. Before landing, you always want to make sure you're in real time, which we are. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to disable yaw damper. I'm going to turn off engine anti-ice. I'm going to bring this all the way back to 150. As a matter of fact, all the way down to 140. We're going to go ahead and take off autopilot. Try to fly it in the rest of the way. Small inputs. Try to keep it steady. Just have a little bit of turbulence here. Before you get close enough to the runway, pull up. Take speed all the way out. Let it come down. Land it on the back runways here. Take out speed all the way. Usually we'd stop right here, contact ground, X-tax for parking. We're just going to shut down the aircraft here. This will show you how to do it. Basically really easy. Set the parking brake. Just put the fuel to cut off for both engines. And come up here, turn everything off. Go left to right now. Turning off engine bleed air. Engine packs off. Right and left circulation fans off. Turn off all hydraulic pumps. Make sure all these are off. Turn off window heat. Emergency exit lights off. Fast seatbelt signs off. Smoking signs off. Turn off generators 1 and 2. You'll see that light up here. Make sure the APU generators are off as well. You want to turn passenger and cabin utility supply off. Switch these off. In the final row, your damper has already been disabled. We just want to turn off the fuel pumps. That's it there. Once everything is off, then we just turn the battery off. And that's how you shut down the aircraft. And here we are. Anyway, if you like that, think about giving a like, think about subscribing. But if not, hey, it's all love. Take care. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.